Hello, Shekans. My name is Eric Mullins, and today we're going to be taking a look at a figure by Apex. This is from Azur lane, and it's Owari in her Manjuu Forsythia? I think that's how, Forsythia? I think, yeah, she's a 1-on-7 figure, and she's all sorts of crazy at her price point, but we'll get into that more at the end of the video. If you want to see her unboxing and a quick little overview, be sure to check the links in the description down below. This thing, first of all, shake test. Boop, bop, dee-doo, da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. We got a couple of things moving around here and there, but that's because they're not necessarily glued on. I don't think that this is anything that's going to scratch the figure. It's very, very light. But if you're there grinding the metal chain up against her skin, obviously you're going to get some sort of scratching. So I guess still be mindful of that. Now, I know for a lot of you out there, the first thing that pops into mind when thinking about Owari is a bed. This figure comes with their own little futon, and I use the word little... This is big. Pretty hefty. It takes up an enormous amount of space, but what's fun is that if you have little arisers here and there, you can put some really good figures around her. The futon itself is very well shaded, all sorts of nice beveling and folds into this fabric design. We get some prints here and there. It looks to be faux holding her weight okay. Not perfectly, but from a shelf, it definitely does an excellent job at creating the illusion. These throw cushions, which look really good. I love how we have a super hyper gloss one, a matte one, different designs. It's fun that they put in the work here. However, something that I mentioned in so many of my videos is that I love having different types of finishes. I would have made it a semi-gloss, or I would have made some of the golds or the little bit of clothing she's wearing a hyper gloss so that they kind of contrast it nicely. Underneath, wouldn't you know it, the plastic that they're using here is reflective and glossy. My goodness, that's where all the gloss has gone. We have these interesting looking fold out feet that kind of look like wall plugs. That's something, I guess. While on the actual back of this futon, we get more shading. Very unique. I suppose they expect you to have a mirror behind her so you can see what's going on, because they really did put a lot of work back here. Back here, in the back of her, in the back, in behind her. They put a lot of work around her back and behind. Moving on. Manjuus. We've got 2 of them. I think the Manjuus are kind of cute little characters. On the other hand, I personally like them to be removable, so I don't have to have them on there if I don't want them on there. They're glued on so strongly, and for real, with the way that this futon was built, they could have just put magnets in the Manjuus and in this futon. I guess Apex just thought it's like that in the artwork, and you're gonna deal with it. Personally, I like options, and this kind of takes me away from the overall spiciness of this design. The spice must flow. We've got Sleepy Manjuu up front. Nice shading, cute little decals for the eyes and the cheeks. Very sharp beak you could totally cut yourself with. While the second Manjuu's over here just touching her behind, holding sunscreen. There's a little design with the sun on that tiny hyperglossed bottle. He's just there thinking, yeah, don't worry, Owari, I got this. You'll be fine. You can go outside and you won't get sunburned at all with this. Where am I going with this bad joke? Owari herself has gorgeous feet, very well sculpted, lovely nail polish on the toes. She comes with 2 shoes, and unfortunately for Owari over here, Cinderella, she is not. They don't fit very well, and putting them on is like stressful. I feel the plastic is just gonna break right off, or it's going to scratch up some of the paint job. It goes on there, it's just that it doesn't stay. It'll be in your display cabinet, and the slightest breeze, it'll end up just falling off. I mean, the Manjuus are permanently fixed on there, but not the shoes? Come on, Apex. I can't even do some cute, spicy thing where the shoe's hanging there nicely, because it's just gonna come flying off anyway. You could always just position it underneath the sofa, or on the sofa if you don't want to lose it. You've got all this sofa space. There we go. Maybe that's what her hand position is made for, holding the shoe. It is not. The shoes themselves are pearlescent with an excellent level of shading to them. We get a nice golden print along the back with some golden line work for the stiletto piece. Going up on her left leg, she actually has some cute little ankle bracelets. The pearlized one has shading and highlights along with some gold coloration similar to their shoes, where she then has a couple of golden loopies. Loops, bracelets. She's definitely an accessory gal. Her legs are very well sculpted, going up into her thighs, where on her left one we then have this strong loopy accessory once again. This one has some excellent sculpted beveled out skin and beautiful shading to highlight that, where we then go up into her behind. This thing is... I'm talking about it as if it's some super weapon. This high caliber, extra powerful, high-end tiered extra weapon of mass destruction is absolutely fantastic. It's so well sculpted. The way everything is placed is very natural with the pose that she's currently taking. It's perfectly rounded, and that's to be expected with Owari. There's just this Manjuu in the way. And it's at this point, due to the fact that we get a lot of negative space for that high caliber, high-end super weapon of hers, that I have to talk about her skin. Despite the highlights and the shading that are going on in her skin, they put a sort of finish over all of her parts that kind of gives off a bit of a shiny twinkle. I don't usually mind it, providing that it's very uniform and all throughout the whole figure. To which, similarly to the other figures that had this similar kind of paint finish on the skin, I would say it isn't. It's not as noticeable with her as it is with said other figure. The fact that you don't actually have that kind of finish on her face, but you do everywhere else, and from a shelf, you're really not gonna see nothing. Maybe this finish is supposed to be the sunscreen that's being put on her by this little Manjuu over here. Oh yeah. Her dress, it's a lighter white with some darker silver shading going across it, where we get a bit of gold here and there for the clips. It really does look fantastic, and the way that it kind of envelopes her body and floats over other parts of it is expertly done. Her dress is really tight along the bottom as it slowly goes up and is a little bit looser, and if you like this, don't forget that if you like this video just a little bit, it doesn't cost much to hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell. Boy, I struggled finding a way to worm it in that time. Full of silver strands that are hanging down here, which look really good as well. And it goes up and ties behind her back. There's a little bit of stiffness to it here and there, giving off that plasticky impression, but it's really not that bad. Around her neck, she has a little necklace, and here you can see sort of where things are kind of clicked in there for her head. It's not perfect, but from on a shelf, once again, you're not really gonna notice it. She then has her real metal little golden chain thing going all around her shoulders and towards her back. This is okay, but I personally would have had a callback of this type of gold maybe on her loops, on her legs, and a few other places just so that it feels more uniform throughout the whole figure. We slowly move up into her beautiful, well-sculpted back. We get a really strong indentation for her spine here with hardcore shading to really pronounce the muscles that she has in order to hold up her chest properly. She's a robot monster gal, okay? So it works in this one of these rare situations. Yeah. Good job, Eric. You made sense out of that. I get that she's a hardcore hourglass shape, and maybe when I'm looking at this figure here, it's probably got a similar waist as hers. I just don't notice it as much because of the style of clothing that she's wearing, whereas in this one, you can clearly kind of see her stomach and everything through all the open parts of her dress. Width-wise, from the hips, I'd say it's fine. It's just mostly from her stomach to her back that things just seem a little bit too thin. Her second deadly weapon. It's all right. This is what I think looks really nice when you have these curves that go up and in like this. And then this is where it just feels like it's sculpted out from the body as opposed to being sculpted more upwards and then flowing over the body after the fact. And you can even see this along the front of her chest where everything looks sculpted up to a certain point and then the chest is separated. It doesn't actually feel like they sculpted the two parts of her chest and then pushed them together afterwards in the sculpt. It's just one big chunk. The level of shading and highlights that we get on here, however, are very nice. So despite the sculpture kind of failing here, the paintwork does a good job from a distance at making it look the way it's supposed to. She has a decent collarbone structure that goes into her shoulders that actually look pretty thick. Blame this on the same thing that I've been going on about earlier, and that's the fact that this is all one piece. I would have sculpted the arm and then slowly folded it over her left breast. This way you would have had that proper line. Her left arm has this scarf thing that she's wearing. It's got a bunch of motifs and designs on it. They should have absolutely put some shading and a bunch of the folds in the fabric underneath here, or just carved them in a little better. She has a couple of loopies that aren't actually glued on, and then one that is around the top of her wrist going into her hand, where it's decently sculpted. She's clearly saying everything here is a-okay. That's what that means, right? Her right arm is pushing down and going into the futon. We get a bit of printed on gold lace, and the hand looks okay. Not amazing, but it does the job, and you don't really see it all that much. Her face is incredible. Absolutely gorgeous. We get a bit of line underneath her neck here. Unfortunate, but that's there so we can swap in her other two face plates that she comes with. I love the use of the hypergloss for her lips and tongue. We get a light blush underneath her eye, while the eyeball part is semi-gloss, and the eyelashes are done in a matte. Thank you, Apex. You definitely passed the assignment on this one. She comes with two other faces, where one of them is just her giving a regular Owari smile. I actually really love this one. I think it's super cute, but as I have that faceplate on my other Owari figure, I decided not to go with it. And her third faceplate has her tongue going up on the far left, giving you that yum kind of look, and I don't think that it's done particularly well. The tongue itself does bevel out a little bit, but not enough for me to really feel like, oh, it's actually doing this. From a distance, it just looks like a weird mistake on her lips. My opinion, of course. You're allowed to like any one of these faces that you want. Her ears are decently sculpted. I love that we get a couple of earrings on them. Her hair has some really dark shading on it. I just would have put that classic anime highlight sheen along the top, so this way it really would have done a better job at giving you that anime illustration aesthetic. I find the sculpt work here is what's lacking. It just doesn't seem like it's carved in enough, and that's clearly something I've been saying about a lot of this figure. A part of me thinks that maybe it's not the sculptor's fault, but maybe it's the mold after the fact, because when you make molds, a lot of times you lose some of the detail. The hair here is really flowing all over the place. We get a couple of weird odd strands plugged in here or there, where for her braided twin tails, it really just doesn't look good from the back. This thing is clearly plugged in here. It's done with a darker color out of nowhere, so we don't get a nice gradient going from one end to the other for these twin tails. The carving isn't as deep as I would like it to be, and it seems to get worse as it goes down along the futon. It's so weird that they choose to put a whole bunch of darker colors here, where the braid going over her shoulder, you can still see where it plugs in, but at least at this point they did a better job with the gradient going from her head to this braid. They flow all along the bottom of the futon. Where at the tips, we get these really cool rings with all this, I guess that's supposed to be her hair. It looks pretty cool. I like the concept. And then things poof out at the end, and these poofs are very flat. This you can see is floating here. It's not even on the futon. Her horns are then shooting out of her head, where they have a nice sculpt texture to them. I, of course, love all the accessories that she's put on them, so it really feels like it's a part of who she is. And the little horn-tipped earring pieces are very cool, though they look like they're drilled into her horns. Upon her release, she was going for 20,000 yen, which for a figure with this amount of stuff going on and size, I'd say is very well priced. What I find intriguing is that this figure is loaded with super close, yet just not there. And despite that, seeing her on a shelf, a lot of those just not there moments can be ignored. I'd say a major issue a lot of you are going to face with her is just the size. She's so big. She takes up a huge rectangle of space. Good Smile Arts Shanghai had made this one, and I really feel like they knocked it out of the park. She is a fantastic figure, great alternate faces, great coat that you can add onto her, an excellent super base if you wanted that, but then you end up with the same issue that you have with this one, and that's all the massive amount of space she takes. It seems like it's a running thing that Owari in general just needs to take up all the space. Like if you like her and she's your waifu, well, get ready for her, because she's not going to give space to any of your other waifus that you like. There's only one waifu, that's Owari, and you should just deal with this. Buy a bigger home so that you can place more Owari figures. But if you're not 100% sure, I'm going to put a link down in the description below for the My Figure Collection page. This way you can see her in other people's collections, and hopefully my video today helped you decide which side of the fence you are in getting her or not. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Dishwasher's art style is so perfect for this kind of face, I'd probably consider it to be her third weapon. You don't even know. You don't even know. That's why she demands so much space. Just huge figures. Each one of them. You just gotta get all of them. I feel like I'm just like rambling on and on at this point. Oh, Waddy. Oh my.